Bay win the NFC South.
What's good, everybody? Let's talk some Tampa sports. Bye week is through. Done, over with. Buccaneer football is back this week. And today we're going to talk about players that need to step up. They need to step up this season. They came in the season with expectations, and for whatever reason just haven't lived up to it. Those are the guys we're going to talk about. We're going to go 2 guys on offense, 2 guys on defense. Let's go. Now if we rewind in our head, go back to training camp, there was one position battle on offense that had some back and forth throughout the Buccaneers fan base, and that is the wide receiver 3 position. Both of those guys that we argued about are going to be the 2 guys I'm talking about for the offense. Jalen McMillan and Trey Palmer. Just severely underwhelming seasons so far for both of those guys. We both know these players are talented playmakers. We saw last year Trey Palmer make some big plays. Training camp, Jalen McMillan was all over the place with the highlight reels and this, that, and the other. We heard all of the rave about Jalen McMillan. And it hasn't lived up to it. The M in Jalen McMillan stands for make more plays, please. And the P in Trey Palmer stands for please make some more plays. The playmaking just has not been there for these 2 guys this season. Jalen McMillan, his stats so far this season, way down here. 10 receptions on 22 targets, just 109 yards, and 1 touchdown. That 1 touchdown was a 32, 34 yardage touchdown in the first game of the season. So that's a big chunk of his yards and his 1 reception that all happened in week 1. Hasn't been much since. With both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin out, this was the perfect opportunity for both of these guys to really step up and make some plays. And I really wanted to see that from Jalen McMillan, a young guy, right here. This is your moment. This is your time to shine. You won the wide receiver 3 position. Wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 go out. Guess what that makes you? And we haven't seen anything. Honestly, we have not seen anything. We've seen more from Sterling Shepard, who started on the practice squad this season. We've seen more from Ryan Miller, who started on the practice squad this season. A lot of this video is going to feel like I'm just calling out players or putting players on blast, which I don't like to do, but these are good players with expectations, or players that I believe could be good players in this league, like Jalen McMillan. He's young. We haven't seen it yet. Obviously, he's in his rookie year, but I believe he can be a good player, and I think we just need to see that step up for the rest of the way. Mike Evans is going to be back. He'll probably be back this week. This is your time. You can take over that Chris Godwin role. You have experience playing in the slot. I'd love to see Liam Cohen use him that way. We'll see how he gets used, but there's talent there. I know there's a nagging hamstring injury, and apparently there's more behind the scenes going on. You think back to that Kansas City game, that Baker Mayfield post-game interview, where he's just like, some guys just need to mature a little bit more and take more care of their bodies. Guess who was a last-minute scratch that game in Kansas City? It was Jalen McMillan with a hamstring. Was he talking about Jalen McMillan? I don't know who else he would be talking about when he's saying some young guys need to mature and take better care of their bodies. And then you go back to the game against the 49ers. Jalen McMillan was active. Fully dressed on the sideline. I'm like, great. That's great news. This Bucs receiving corps needs some help right now. There's a boost to it. We get to halftime. I'm like, I have not seen Jalen McMillan. Interesting. And then we get to the end of the game. I'm just like, I never saw Jalen McMillan. What? Fully dressed. Helmet, shoulder pads, everything. The full get up. Just sat on the sidelines the entire game. Do I know what happened? No. Am I going to speculate? No. I know he's still dealing with that hamstring injury, but why was he fully dressed if he was incapable of playing 1 snap? I don't know. It just seems like there's something going on there. I'm not going to speculate, but hopefully we can see him on the field soon. And Trey Palmer, I honestly don't have an answer to it. Let's pull up his stats. So Trey Palmer, 9 receptions on 16 targets, 123 yards, and 1 touchdown. That 1 touchdown was a really nice touchdown against the Philadelphia Eagles, but that's it. That's it. From a guy who was a 6th-round pick last year, did not have much expectations going into last year, but I think played above those expectations when you think about what you expect from a 6th-round pick. I was hoping to see that next step this season. We just haven't seen it. That speed that we all know he has, probably the fastest player on the team. No deep shots. I don't know. I don't have an answer for Trey Palmer. He hasn't been on the injury report throughout the season. I don't know what's going on there. He's been the punt returner. He's been okay there. I wish I did have an answer. Trey Palmer, please. Let's get it going. Just like Jalen McMillan. The opportunity is there. If McMillan moves into the slot to play that Chris Godwin role, we need another outside guy. Shepard and Ryan Miller are going to be fighting for that spot too. I think we can all say Trey Palmer is probably the most talented out of those guys, given that those guys started the season on the practice squad. I know Sterling Shepard has the most experience and the biggest connection with Baker Mayfield, so he might get that nod. But I think ultimately Trey Palmer is probably the most talented guy, the most threatening guy when you think about the deep ball. I don't know. I hope to see more from Trey Palmer because I like him as a player. The defensive side of the ball, this one's going to hurt even more because I really like both of these guys. I love how they play, and I love the physicality they bring or have brought in the past. Wink, wink. First guy we're going to talk about is Yaya Diaby. On defense, the Bucs have had the most sacks in the NFL since Week 5, but that hasn't resulted to the defense playing well. And that necessarily isn't on the defensive line. It has a lot to do with the backside of things, the linebackers, whatever it may be. But when you think about where that pressure is coming from, it's really only coming from the interior. Kalijah Kancey, ballin' lately. Vita Vea, ballin'. Those outside guys, Joe, Yaya, Anthony Nelson, we really have not seen much at all. Yaya Diaby had big expectations coming into this year, doing what he did last year as a third-round pick. We all expected him to take that next step this year and become the Buccaneers pass rusher. It just hasn't happened. He had an injury during training camp. It was a rough one. Did that hamper how he came into the season? Is it something that's kind of been nagging? Not enough for him to not be able to play, but he can still feel it? I'm not sure, but it's the numbers, pass rushing numbers. Let me clarify that, have not been good to Yaya Diaby. So we're looking at sacks here. That's what I have it filtered by. As I said, the pressure is coming from the inside. Vita Vea, Kalijah Kancey are 1 and 2. Logan Hall is an inside guy. He comes in at 3. CJ Brewer. Let me pause. Let that marinate. CJ Brewer, defensive tackle, has the same amount of sacks as Yaya Diaby, who has played 10 games this season. Who would have guessed? Who could have possibly predicted that? Anthony Nelson, his backup, a rotational guy on that defensive line. I know everyone rotates, but Yaya Diaby is a starter. Anthony Nelson comes in for Yaya Diaby, has the same amount of sacks as him. They both have 2. It's just not good enough. The Bucs need more of an edge presence. We knew that coming into the season, and we just have not gotten it. Love Yaya Diaby as a player. And as a person, he seems like such a chill guy. Just the physicality, the measurables have not come to fruition so far this season, which is why he's in this video now as players that need to step up, and a player that I believe can step up, because I really do think the talent is there. And like I said, that physicality and the measurables on this guy, he has the build to be a premier pass rusher in the NFL. It just hasn't happened yet. So Yaya Diaby, that's the first guy on defense that we're talking about. So last season, pass rush was an issue, and it is this season too. Last season, safety play outside of Antoine Winfield Jr. was an issue. This season, it's been an issue too. So 2 big issues from last season have carried over this year. Last year, the Ryan Neal experiment did not work. It wasn't even close to working. It just wipe your hands clean, move on. The Bucs pick up and re-sign or bring back Jordan Whitehead, who I think everyone, including myself, was ecstatic about. Bringing back this guy who nobody really wanted to leave. Cap issues, this, that, and the other. He ends up going to the Jets. And I think we all thought he improved during his time with the Jets, playing in that defense, getting better in coverage, getting more interceptions. We already knew what he brought. Run stopping, physicality. It just hasn't seemed like it translated so far coming back to the Buccaneers. That pass coverage that we thought improved primarily this season, it has not been great in pass coverage for Jordan Whitehead. I think it is important to remember, and it wasn't something that we took into account enough as Bucs fans, is that he was not an every down safety during his time with the Buccaneers. He rotated in and out a good bit with Mike Edwards, who, welcome back, sir, has returned. So these passing downs, third and longs, whatever it may be, the Bucs were always bringing in Mike Edwards for those situations, pulling Jordan Whitehead, who was a really good run stopper, disciplined, filled the gaps when you need to, came downhill, physical, can cause turnovers, fumbles. But that pass coverage, it just has not improved enough, in my opinion, from what I've seen so far this season, to be an every down safety. I mean, you look back at that Ravens game, I did a full video on the defensive film and how Lamar Jackson tore us up, going through some of those touchdown plays. It was not great. Not a great watch for Jordan Whitehead fans. It was tough. So there's the pass coverage. And then the physicality we all knew from Jordan Whitehead, I feel like we haven't seen that either. I remember watching Jordan Whitehead during those days, and some of those hits, there might have been one every 1 or 2 games. You're just like, ooh, just one of those ones that make you like cringe up a little bit, like stand up in your seat. Can we count how many times that's happened this season? Obviously, my mind first goes to the NFC Championship game. It's not a penalty. Forced the fumble on Aaron Jones. Huge hit, huge play, huge turnover in that game. We just haven't seen that this year either. So I think he's still a good run stopper, but the physicality, making your presence felt, we have not felt that as fans. I don't think it's been seen and felt on the field. And then the pass coverage has not been good enough so far. And that's why Jordan Whitehead is going to be the other guy on this defense where I'm saying we need to see him step it up. How this will end up looking with Mike Edwards now resigning, I'll probably make a video on that. Just its own separate thing, but I think it could help him out a bit. I'll be interested to see how he maybe comes in the box a little bit more. Mike Edwards plays a little bit more back, and how they can help mess with the pass coverage issues and try to play around, experiment, test how they can fix that, because it just, obviously the Bucs are a bottom 5 defense when you look at scoring. They've been giving up a ton of yardage, a ton of touchdowns to quarterbacks. You look at the Falcons. When the Falcons don't play the Bucs, they look like an average to below average team. They play the Buccaneers, Kirk Cousins just has his way. So some things need to change pass coverage wise up that middle of the field. There's not really any other options at linebacker. So at safety, we might have to see some, and clearly the Bucs agree as well, bringing back Mike Edwards. That's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave your comments down below if you agree with the four guys that I named, the 2 on offense, the 2 on defense, McMillan, Trey Palmer, Yaya Diaby, Jordan Whitehead. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe. Go Bucs. Y'all have a blessed one.